Almost 30 years ago during war, I stabbed a Kurdish young man, 16 to 18, through the eye while he begged me not to kill him. Welcome to Daily Dose Reddit. What's the most terrible thing you've ever done? When I was about 14, we liked to go and get drunk at the local play park, as any upstanding UK citizen should. The trouble is we had no money. So, my genius friend suggested we make fake Salvation Army badges and go carol singing. It was near Christmas. So some cardboard and cling film later and there we are. Three spotty, voice-cracking boys singing carols we didn't even know badly to defraud kind people and a charity out of their money to buy vodka and cider. I even remember one guy saying, "Sorry lads, I only give to registered charities," so we all kind of pointed at our badges and he gave us a quid. Pooped myself when I was 6, hid underwear in one of those chair cube things that open up, commandoed upstairs and changed, and forgot about the underwear. My parents found them when I was almost 12. In middle school, I didn't want to be in class anymore, so I pretended to have some sort of brain episode, e.g. unable to keep my eyes open, slurred speech etc. An ambulance was called. Took me to a hospital. I had gone too far to let it up. My mom was crying in the hospital room overnight and through the sobs whispered in my ear that if I was faking she wouldn't be mad, just to let her know, which made me double down. I was there for a day and a half. And it cost my parents $8,000. I was kinda drunk and I had a girl on my shoulders. I forgot she was there because, well, drunk, and a guy tried to pants me. I gave chase. Through a doorway. She didn't duck in time to miss the doorway. Broke 6 teeth and got a giant gash on her head. What makes it worse is that she had problems with her hip previously, and when she hit, we both went down, which meant my head smashed off her crotch. She dislocated her hip and cracked her pelvis. Accidentally, hit my cousin with a golf club when we were around 12. I was preparing to hit a golf ball across the yard and she was too close to me. She was making me nervous and I kept telling her to stand further behind me so I didn't hit her with the club. She was teasingly disobeying me, because she knew how far to stand away. I got angry and tried to scare her by swinging the club close to her face, but I actually hit her by accident. Worst feeling in the world, hitting my little cousin in the face. Luckily she didn't scar. Of course, I said it was totally accidental so I didn't get in trouble, which it sort of was. She didn't rat me out. I love her. Pissed in someone's coffee machine, on several occasions. He really was an incredible jerk. He never found out. So in high school I had a really close-knit group of friends. Me and one of the other girls who we'll call Kate were really close for about 2 years. During the summer before my senior year of high school, Kate told me at a friend's party that she was gay and had feelings for me. I'm straight, so I turned her down. This wasn't something that Kate was very happy to accept. She told the 2 other girls in our friend group that she had told me she was gay and that I basically hadn't accepted her and now didn't want to be around her anymore. While Kate didn't come out to anyone, the 3 basically convinced my entire high school drama club, which we were all really involved in, irony I know, that I was basically a lying, intolerant, etc. bitch, and no one talked to me for the majority of senior year starting around October or so when shit really hit the fan. That is until I completed my incredibly drawn out and twisted revenge plan. First we'll start with what I did to the girl that led the crusade. We'll call her Lena after her idol Lena Dunham. I had nearly all of my classes with this girl and we had been applying for college at the same time. Lena told me that she was excited to apply for Oberlin College and would be hearing back soon. They had kept up this bizarre pseudo-friendship with me for a while, so I knew when Lena got denied early from the school. Except she told everyone that she hadn't been denied, but that her family was unable to afford it. For her, I got a bunch of teachers together to help her get scholarships so that she could afford to go to her dream school. She had to admit to each and every one of them that she had actually been denied. The next one, we'll call her Becky, who didn't do anything terrible other than sort of go along with it and egg them on occasionally. I got a little worse with because it was so easy. This was a surprisingly toxic friend group when it started to fall apart, but for some reason none of them realized that I have a very good memory, and one time during a sleepover they had talked about their Facebook passwords. I took screenshots of Lena and Kate's conversations about Becky and would hide them in a folder in Becky's email because Becky used the same password for both. I let these amass for months until I started in on my final part for Kate. I stayed absolutely silent until late March of senior year on why Kate and I had suddenly stopped being best friends. I knew that people wouldn't want to listen to me and that it wasn't worth creating a prolonged fight over. But with time some people were talking to me again and Kate wasn't the victim she had been months ago. So I started it then. Kate still hadn't told anyone, except maybe Lena and Becky. I honestly can't say for certain the real reason we weren't as close. So instead of being the person who would tell everyone, I found a way to make her do it instead. We had this friend who literally could not keep a secret if you paid him to, and he didn't care about that at all. It was a point of personal pride almost. I didn't tell him directly because that would be really low, but at the time I convinced myself that this was better. I told him that if he wanted to see something funny that he should tell Kate that he knew what happened at that one summer grad party. I didn't give him any details, didn't say anything at all, and didn't tell him that it had anything to do with us not talking. The next week Kate went around asking people if they had heard the awful rumor I was spreading about her. I had multiple people come and ask me if it was true. I would only ever reply, "Where did you hear it from?" Until they all realized that she had said it herself. I hadn't said a word, but now everyone knew why she had suddenly fallen really hard out of love. When even Becky and Lena start wondering if the story she told them is true, they stick with her initially. Which is when I send an email to Becky, from herself, to check the spam folder of her account and search for messages titled, "Facebook Thoughts." To my knowledge the girls don't talk that much anymore. TLDR, girls are mean to me in high school. I exact months-long revenge on them tailored to their personalities, public and private humiliation and getting someone to out themselves to most of the school. Got tickets to the Pats Colts game a few years back, won them from work. They were box seats with $350 voucher for beer and free supper. I was supposed to go with a few friends but one dropped out. I was drunk as shit, bragging about the tickets in the bar, and some woman asked if she could go and was making it clear that she was going to sleep with me if I said yes, so I said yes. She took me back to her place, we slept together, and the next morning I checked my phone to see that my friend could go after all. I quietly got dressed and got the F out of there. Saw her a few months later in a grocery store, she was pissed. I was at an amusement park with a petting zoo last year, and my friends and I went to the arcade. We won 100 tickets, but there wasn't any good prizes, so we said F it and bought 100 Tootsie Rolls. We later went back to the petting zoo. Bored, I walked up to a chicken, put a Tootsie Roll in my hand and said, "Come here chicken, you want this?" Not expecting it to want this. Guess what? It wanted this. It trotted right up, and next thing you know the Tootsie Roll is in its beak. All I remember is hearing the clack that its beak made when making contact with the candy. I bolted the F out of there for fear of witnessing it choking to death. About an hour later, my friends and I came back, and all the chickens were still there except for the Tootsie Roll chicken. My guess is that it choked to death in front of a crowd of children and scarred many innocent minds, then the employees disposed of it. I will never return there again. While walking home drunk from the bars one night with friends, we saw a futon couch sitting on the porch of a house. We decided to pull it into the middle of the road, and hide behind the bushes to see if anyone would hit it. Since it was the middle of the night, it didn't take very long for someone to plow into it. I consider myself to be a mostly decent person, and I wish I could say that I was just young and stupid when I did this. But, I was a senior in college. I get a little queasy thinking about how horrible of a thing that was. I was very drunk, so I can't really remember what was going through my head, but it's a little scary to think that I'm capable of something so maliciously dangerous. 25 years ago. Dorky guy, let's call him Elmo. Elmo, an acquaintance, not a close friend, wants to come party with us, and I explain that our parties are fairly serious, and involve the consumption of large amounts of not exactly legal fungus which can induce total mental chaos. He says it's cool and he's been down that road before and not to worry, he'll be fine. The evening arrives and Elmo does too. He's presented with some tea which he consumes, followed by a second cup, then a third. At this point the group are thinking, this guy's pretty hardcore, and it is then that Elmo says, this ain't much cop, going to have another cup. At that point we go, whoa mate. You'd better slow down. Takes a while to kick in, and we all start wondering. Needless to say the evening passes and Elmo is majorly fucked up. He's clearly having a bad one and it gets to the point where we have to take him home. He insists despite our warnings about how hectic that's gonna be. Lives with his folks. Fast forward a week and I get a phone call. Hi mate, Elmo here. It's my birthday tomorrow, wanna catch up? Okay mate, by the way how are you after the other night? I'm in the mental hospital. I pause. Then I hang up. Never heard from Elmo again. Always blamed myself, I always do though, and wondered what happened to him. Still think about it after all this time, still feel guilty. When I was in high school I had a math teacher who was really cool, very helpful and everything you want in a teacher. He had a son who was taking pre-calculus with us even though he was in 7th grade. Anyways, somehow this kid got my phone number, either from a group project or whatever, and started calling me and leaving weird messages on my phone. Nothing crazy, just little kid stuff, the stuff you do when you want older kids to notice you but you don't know well how to do it in a mature way. So after a while I'm talking with my friends, and I mention that this kid has been calling, and me wanting to seem cool in front of them I end up calling this poor kid and leaving a message saying all sorts of nasty and racist things. Well, the next day my teacher asked me to stay after class and he told me that if I ever called his son again he'd call the police and that he didn't want me to have any more contact with his family, which really hurt because I was totally not that person. So because I made a stupid decision I traumatized a poor kid and his family and ended up having to switch classes to another teacher. I still get knots in my stomach when I think about it even though it was like 20 years ago. Thank you so much for watching.